front-runner, delivering a crisp, refreshing taste. Brewed with fine.
What's happening? Let's get this rolling.
JT the Brick Show, where the Raider Nation has come to sound off and react for over 20 years.
It's the JT the Brick Show, broadcasting live from the Philly Cadillac Performance Studio.
Raiders bring a blitz, takes it off the middle, and he's wrapped it from behind. Maxx Crosby.
Your silver and black home to sound off for over 25 years.
Over to the 35, racing to the 20, 10, touchdown Raiders.
And now, here's JT the Brick.
Out of the gate, JT, as we begin another day here in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, on the flagship of the Silver and Black Raider Nation Radio, and we are ready to roll. Big day today. Why? Because we are just waiting around, maybe for something big to happen. Don't expect anything big to happen today. But as I said earlier today, on a little walk, a little backyard brick on the main streets of Summerlin, that this is the most unique and maybe the most memorable coaching carousel that I can remember throughout my career. I'm sure there was one 12 years ago or 18 years ago. I don't know exactly. But I can tell you, as of late, this is about as good as it gets because you got everything going into this coaching carousel. Trust or distrust. Legends and older guys or younger guys. Teams that are still playing, which means coaches are coaching while other teams want to get them. And the names are incredible to me. As we look at this coaching carousel here in Vegas, Vegas might be the biggest story around the entire NFL. And it's not because JT says the Raiders are great, the Raiders are this. No, Tom Brady's involved. And that's never been the case. And that's a pretty big deal that Tom Brady is involved in this process. To what degree, we do not know. And someone was asking me, when are we going to know what Brady's role is? I would think that Brady in media now is going to sit down with someone on a big podcast. It could be Jim Gray, who's got a big one with Let's Go. It could be JT the Brick in the third person. It might be Maxx Crosby's great podcast. And eventually, Tom might sit down and say, let me tell you how this went. Let me tell you, I was wrapping up my broadcast season, but I was working the phones. I was flying in and out of Vegas. I was talking to Mark every night till 2 a.m. We don't know, nor should we. This is stealth. This is private. This is a private matter. We're not going to know about it. Even the insiders are getting frustrated now. Oh, boy. The big insiders don't even know what's going on. And there's a lot of them. And they're all speculating. What are they saying? The great Ian Rappaport, Adam Schefter, Jay Glazer, Jordan Schultz, who I have a lot. They're saying, my sources tell me that Ben Johnson is the leading candidate. Well, so did Vinny Bonsignore, so did I, so did Q Meyer. We all said that. We all know that. So the next thing that's going to happen is one of those insiders, not me, one of them is going to want to have their thumbs out and go first. Boom. It's a done deal. Ben Johnson to the Raiders. And they get paid to do that. They have 6 million, 7 million followers. They get paid to be the first guy with the thumbs to go, boom, it's confirmed. And then we find out about it pretty quickly. And then that's how the deal happens. But I was talking to a former NFL executive today, and I talked to a few of them, people that used to be here on other teams, other places. That's part of my show prep. My show prep isn't watching someone reading off a teleprompter on their show making mistakes. My show prep is talking to people and actually talking to fans. I got a lot of friends who are fans, Raider fans, other fans, my Buffalo boys. Hey, what are you hearing up there? So that's how I kind of communicate. I listen. It doesn't sound like I listen on this show every day. I'm banging through calls, hanging up on people who aren't energetic enough, but I listen pretty good. My wife requires that of me, that I listen and I do. And when I go through this process here today, as I was walking around the park, I said to myself, oh my God, this is incredible. We got Ben Johnson, clearly the number one target for, I would think, the Raiders, the Bears, Jacksonville, whoever it is. Ben Johnson was going to be the head coach of the Washington Commanders. They turned the plane around with the owner because he changed his mind. He didn't want the job. Okay, that's pretty big news. I also talked to someone today who reminded me that when Josh McDaniels took the Colts job, okay, he was still coaching, right? So similar comparison. He was coaching for the Patriots. And I know you guys hate when I mention Josh McDaniel won with the Patriots 6 rings. It drives some of you Raider fans nuts. Like we're supposed to just wipe that from the list. But when Josh McDaniels agreed to terms with Indianapolis or agreed that he was going to go there, they started hiring coaches. And they did. And then he changed his mind. And Indy was left holding the bag. And they missed out on the coaching search. Oh, boy. I don't think that's going to happen here. So one of the gentlemen I talked to today, who's been in this process a long time, told me that 90% of the time, and I pushed on this, 90% of the time, when you agree, not to final terms where you're signing a contract, when you agree that you're going to come coach the Falcons, that would be Kyle Shanahan. Remember, Kyle was coaching in the Super Bowl for Atlanta. He agreed to the Niners term. He was going to be the Niners head coach. The next day after they lost 28-3, he gets that job. He didn't back out. And the guy I talked to said 90% of the time, if you got an agreement, kind of a handshake agreement, if it's going to get done, it gets done. There aren't many people that walk away from the altar. That term's really big here in Vegas. I heard a story here once. Let me change. This is something good to cut up here. I live in Vegas for those who are watching the show out of market. I've been here since 96. And a lot of people get married in Vegas. They get married in Vegas. And what happens is they get married two ways. Number one, they were thinking about getting married, so they went to Vegas. So they went to the little white chapel, or they went to the one that's inside a Taco Bell, or they went to the one where Elvis got married, and everything goes pretty well. They show up. You got to get your marriage license downtown. Right. So before you get hammered and you're drinking and you're partying, you kind of got to get downtown and get your marriage license. Then you can do whatever you want, and then you get married. But a buddy who told me once, because he owned the real estate. He owned the real estate on where one of these guys, he's kind of like a bail bondsman guy, really good friend over the years. He told me that he used to see all the chaos outside those chapels. I go, why? Because the women, the wives who were dragged to Vegas to get married, they changed their mind. When they got to the little McDonald's drive-through little chapel of whatever of Vegas, they get cold feet. They go, oh my God, my mom's on the line. Don't do it. My dad's saying, don't. And he said, you won't believe how many of those, like outside those places, it's crazy. Most of the time people go through and get married and they have a good time. So the ability to walk away at the altar and to agree to terms to coach the Raiders and change your mind, I don't think is an issue here, nor am I leading anybody down that road. But there's one big name. His name is Ben Johnson. Everybody seems to want him. Automatically today, all the insiders believe the Raiders, the Bears, the Jaguars would all take him in a minute. Okay, maybe the Jets, but I don't think he's going to go to the Jets, the Aaron Rodgers situation. So what's the Tom Brady role? The Tom Brady role, along with Mark, because it all starts with Mark. And pause the show, please. Stop the show. Happy birthday to Mrs. Davis. Carroll Davis's birthday is today. The matriarch of the Raiders and the legend. I've known Mrs. Davis since I've come to the team. And she's one of the nicest people I've ever met. Always so nice to me and my wife, my kids when they met her. So I just wanted to give a shout out throughout the Raider Nation. It's Mrs. Davis's birthday today and how important she is in the history of the Raiders and the history of the NFL. Also in the history of philanthropy, helping others, all the great things that she's done. She's world-class. Everybody loves Mrs. Davis. A fighter. She lit the torch, the first ever torch in memory of her husband here for the Raiders at Allegiant Stadium. I think the world of her. So please, everybody, raise a glass to Mrs. Davis today. So we got all these coaches that are now available. Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. They're both from Detroit. Aaron Glenn might want to be the head coach of New Orleans tomorrow. All he's got to do is tell him I'm in. Well, they might go, whoa, wait a second. You were our choice, but Mike McCarthy's available. We like Mike McCarthy more than you, Aaron Glenn. So we got to hold on here. We got to pump the brakes a bit. And it looks like Mike McCarthy wants the Chicago job. That's the one he wants to prove to Jerry Jones in the NFC and prove to the Packers in the NFC North that he's coming back and he's coming back ready to win. And then you got the Jets. We don't know what's going to happen with the Jets. I think the Jacksonville job is great, not good. It's a great job. Whoever wants the Jacksonville job, the upside on that job is quick if you get the right coach there. So as we look at this coaching carousel, you got two guys who have won Super Bowls. Wow, that's pretty impressive. Pete Carroll and Mike McCarthy. Big, big names. Really good coaches. Really good. Well, JT, I don't like him. He might be old. JT, I don't. No, stop it. Stop thinking that you on Twitter or me on a microphone know who a great coach is. These guys are coaching in the NFL their whole life. They're pretty good coaches. And those two gentlemen are going to get hired probably in the coaching cycle. I would think Pete Carroll for the Raiders would be a better fit than Mike McCarthy. I think Pete would be the better fit. And then you got the Jet job, which is big. It's the number one media market. It's the Jet job. They've been super dysfunctional, really dysfunctional. And then, New Orleans and Jacksonville are good jobs. They are. They're NFL jobs. So, and then Deion's in play. So that's what's the whole point of my video earlier today on X at JT the Brick. I'm like, oh my God, we just threw Deion into the mix? Oh my God. Do you know what Deion does? Here's what Deion does if he comes to your team. He increases the revenue of your football team, which matters a lot to the owner because they're selling stuff. Merchandise, it's called, hats and everything. You bring Deion to your organization, millions upon millions upon millions of dollars are brought into your organization in the retail division, in merchandising, suites, everything goes up. Okay, you don't know. Only one coach of 32 is going to win every year. Be kind of nice to know you got Deion pumping revenue up because everybody wants to be a part of him. So that's kind of a can't miss. And we know Deion can coach. He was one of the best players to ever play. He's one of those guys I say when it comes to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I have Rod Woodson and Deion in the top 25. There's 340 or 60 players in the Hall of Fame. Deion's in the top 25. Okay, he knows what he's doing. And he wants to coach his son, and that makes it complicated because what are you going to be able to do? Unless you go to Nashville. And look, Brian Callahan's in Nashville, son of Bill Callahan. Really good guy. Worked for the Raiders. I know him. Genuinely okay. He's a good coach. Look, I don't want to see him get fired, but if Deion only wants to go to Nashville and Aaron Rodgers wants to go there and mentor Shador for a year, that could be a good fit. So this is really wild. I love this topic. I don't like this topic. I love this topic. And it's not a Raiders topic. It's everybody. So we want to get more and more people involved here in January, February on football. When we got nothing on the Raiders today, any rumors or anything, we want to talk about this topic at 702-365-9200. As I said earlier today, who do you believe, the topic today, will be the first coach hired in this cycle? Who will be the first coach to come to terms with the team? I have no idea who it's going to be because you still have coaches coaching in the playoffs, and they're not going to be announced until after they're eliminated. And the gentleman I talked to today said this weekend, after the divisional weekend, is when everything goes much faster. Right after this weekend on Monday, hires are coming in left and right. And I think we're off on Monday for MLK. So maybe I'll fire up the machine and do something on that. We'll see how that plays out. So that's what I'm talking about today. Love your opinion on it. Let's get some people in here. It's been quiet. A lot of Raider fans are not on vacation. I know what's going on with them, Bobby. They're going back to work. They're back to work. They're focused. They're on lunch now. They're confused. Why would you call me if you don't know the answer? A lot of times I ask fans, if you're going to kind of chatter with me, tell me what you think. A lot of Raider fans don't know. That's not bad because I'm the host and I'm not sure. I think I got a good idea, but it's very confusing around here now. You see, it wasn't confusing 6 weeks ago when callers were screaming at me because they wanted to lose a game to get the number one pick. That was a very easy show to listen to. Everybody lining up saying, let me get on there. How does he want to win? What do you mean he thinks they're going to win and beat New Orleans? Oh, yeah, that was true. That's what I was doing. Bobby and I were sitting here fielding calls. Tell them to lose. Hang up. Tell them to lose. Hang up. Now we got to do some work. This is where you got to do some work, man. This is where you got to kind of walk into your restaurant and go open up, put the open sign on outside and kind of get on the street and wave to everybody. We're open. Hey, man, we're open today. We want to talk Raider football. So the coach, I think it's Ben Johnson, but I don't know. So you got to say, I think it's Ben Johnson. And then quickly, I don't know, because someone will clip it and say, JT the Brick says it's Ben Johnson. Yeah. No, he didn't. I think he is the front runner because it makes sense. He's kind of everything the Raiders want. Young guy, vision, offense, quarterback. He can kind of build it the way he wants from a coaching philosophy. We've tried that recently. A bunch. It didn't work. Yeah. They're going to try it again. That's it. We're going to try it again. We're going to continue to try it until it's fixed. and they get it right. And that's a monologue brought to you by PTs. They fuel the monologue 5 to 7, midnight to 2. You know, it's the best happy hour in town. They win all those awards. They don't buy awards, Bobby, because in this town, people buy awards. Oh, yeah. You know, there'll be people, I'm the best at this blank. Well, how'd that? Oh, you bought the ad in the publication that says you're the best? Well, don't get me going on those attorneys. Ooh, don't get me going. We got the good one. We got the DeCastaverde brothers. I'm not worried about that. They're not buying. I'm number one. I'm number one. But that's the way it is. So the bricklayers are there on YouTube, JT the Brick YT. Good day today. And then the other topics that we want to go through is we are looking for an upset special, or as I like to say, my upset special. I need one NFL upset this weekend. For all you highfalutin gamblers out there, y'all telling everyone how much money you make. How much money you make. I make this much money betting sports. Okay, give us a winner. Do you like Jaden Daniels? Do you think Jaden Daniels can beat Detroit? Do you think the Rams can go into Philly in front of those fans and win in that game in a cold weather game? No. It is going to be so cold in Buffalo. Oh, yeah. On the ground. I got a buddy of mine who can see the stadium out of his backyard. He can see it. So he walks there for the tailgates and comes home, watches his home. He goes, I don't even think I'm walking to the tailgate. I don't even think I'm walking to the tailgate. It's going to be that brutally cold. People, they've been to cold games in Buffalo before. This one going to be kind of like one of those ice balls with wind chill and all that. So that's coming for Lamar and Josh Allen. And this is one of the best football games that I can remember on paper. Like wherever you are going to be, and I got a big weekend of work, man. I got to do Sunday night on Mad Dog, Monday 4 hours on Mad Dog, and I'm going to be putting my head down till Tuesday. But I am watching that Bills-Ravens game like it's the Super Bowl. I'm watching that game with the energy and intensity of that's like a Super Bowl. It's just a shame that they both play in the same conference. If one played in the NFC and you told me the Super Bowl was Baltimore-Buffalo, I'd be like all day long. That is a great matchup, man. So that's what we got. Plenty of topics, as Lee Hamilton would say, on the table for you. 702-365-9200. And if you want to get in here, we got a very busy show. So at the bottom of the hour, Russell Baxter, the football guru, the longest that I can recall, ESPN researcher. He's got a great site. He's going to join us at the bottom of the hour. Lee Sterling will join us at 45 after. He's going to pick games. Lee Sterling's coming in here to make you money. He's going to give you some free picks coming up. Vince Sapienza, our morning host here, Raider and Hockey Insider. He's going to join us at 1 o'clock, 1:05. And then one of the greatest sports talk hosts of all time, Mike North in Chicago. Mike usually comes on with me once a month. It's been about 6 months on the Bears and how the Bears coaching search could kind of morph into the Raiders versus the Bears. He's got some good information that he texted me, and he wants to come on here in a little bit. So that's what I do. I talk for 20 minutes, and I want to see if anybody wants to talk back to me. I don't talk much at home, Bobby. I don't. I kind of just sit around the house and wait to come in here. My wife literally kicks me out. Get out, get out, get out. Well, I can do it from home. No. Get out and get in there with Bobby. Turn on the machine, and let's see what we got going today. But I'm excited because I have a sports talk radio show, a couple of them, and every day for 2 hours, I get to voice my opinion on sports. I don't think I'm the authority. When I get it wrong, I get it wrong. When I get it right, I get it right. But I put my opinion out there every day, and I tell you what I think about sports. And we're sports. That's what we do. And we're in Vegas, the sports and entertainment capital of the world, and we're on our way to New Orleans. Q and I for Radio Row will be on from noon to 5 from New Orleans, giving you the in-depth team coverage you expect from the flagship of the Silver and Black. Resorts World. Man, do they have you lined up. Go to Resorts World and watch the games. Doghouse Saloon. You can get a tabletop. You can go sit in their sports book, which is right there. It coincides with Doghouse, right off the elevators when you park. Great restaurants, an unbelievable food court. Resorts World, proud partner of our show. Hey, sound off like you got a pair. It's football season. Let's wake up here. Wow, no sound bites and just me for 21 minutes. It's kind of a little short for me. A little short for me.
Well, I had the song today was freaking NBA.
You need the book?
Yes. Like 2 minutes. I
Yep.
can get back to it.
Yep.
I got the other two.
Sports Network and can all be streamed live on the LP Sports Network app. Download it.
Sapienza gonna be more Golden Knights.
JT for Grimaldi's New York style cold fire brick oven pizza that you create 4 locations here in the Valley, Summer in Boca Park, on the Strip at the Carousel, Southwest Las Vegas on South Rainbow Boulevard and Eastern Avenue.
Yes, hit the like button, guys. How are we figuring this out every day, man? The like button's key for the algorithm, man.
Big and loud doesn't always mean right. In the conventional mold, doesn't define success. Goodbye, false quick buck promises. We've had
So who's in here? Everyone good? Seen a lot of familiar faces.
the new standard for personal injury law, where things are done the right way, with integrity.
Hey, Joe Marquez, you're about to be banned for good, not be put in timeout. So, Joe, you're going to say something wise ass one more time, something stupid? Joe, what is that name? Maniquez? Did I get that right? Let's see how tough Joe is. Let's see if Joe says something. I love putting people in timeout, man.
702-303-0333. Sam and Ash, because you deserve what's right.
What do you want to do?
This is JT from the Black Hole, home of football's most.
Maniquez.
If you're a diehard Raider fan, this is your
Well, it seems like you're saying some stupid stuff in here, Joe. So, we just want to keep everybody in here.
Access to members only merchandise and much more. All memberships are now lifetime memberships. Once a member, always a member. If you bleed silver and black, visit theblackhole.com today. That's theblackhole.com.
All work and
Well, actually, we had one domino drop because Vrabel went to the Patriots.
Yep. Yeah, I did mention Brady. Yep. You're right.
signature cocktails.
I figure once Ben Johnson goes, then they're all just going to drop like dominoes.
Best happy hour in Las Vegas.
No word on Carroll, huh?
Nope.
Taverns. See you for 50% off drinks during happy hour 5 p.m. to 7
I like
p.m.
this show.
and
Lots
12
of
a.m.
guests.
to 2 a.m. daily. With over 65 locations, there's always a PT's Tavern near you. Visit ptstaverns.com to find your favorite neighborhood tavern.
I've been rooming, got me a Z-Pack thing. I fucking like that.
How sick were you?
Pretty fucking brutal.
Okay.
I started getting sick doing the freaking Golden Knights game Tuesday night. It's just about across the house where I started yakking.
Okay.
100% of seniors are accepted into at least one 4-year university. To learn more
She
about
come
the
back
school
in the
or
morning and
schedule
she
your
took the
please
dog for a walk for me and gave me a
702-844-2019,
Z-Pack and that got me
or
pretty much
visit
through it.
bristolracingrider.org today.
She's a good kid. She got a ton of
2019.
Bob Uecker passed away. That's a tough one.
I got a little clip I'm gonna play in the last segment as a rejoin, just like a minute worth of Euchre at his Hall of Fame thing.
I just got a sweet loan from one Nevada credit union. Smart move, Tom. Thanks. Great terms, low rates, and an easy approval process. All I needed to do was find a sweet ride. Get a sweet loan for a sweet ride at onenevada.org. Federally insured by NCUA.
Fabian, I don't know if Prime wants to stay in Colorado. I think Prime knows that the Cowboy job doesn't open much. Mike McCarthy had that for a couple of years. That job doesn't open up. If you're going to get that, and Jerry's getting older. If I'm Deion, I want to be the head coach of the Cowboys while Jerry's alive and Jerry's in the building. That just makes it, I think, more fun. Being able to work with Jerry and be around Jerry and get on the helicopter with Jerry and go to dinner. I think Deion would be nuts to pass on that job.
50% off the second tuition on CDLA training. Truck U offers convenient classes, personalized attention, and job referrals. This offer is only good through January 17th. Cash or credit card only. Go to Truck U.
I don't know if Khalil Mack at this stage of his career would come back. I'm friends with Khalil. I'd love to see. I love Khalil. Yep.
Brought to you by Tito's Handmade Vodka, America's original craft vodka. Visit Tito'sVodka.com.
Stafford, cool as can be, takes the snap, looking left, comes off that read, sidearm throw, to the 9, to the 5, to the end zone! Touchdown, Davis Allen! Touchdown, LA!
Yeah, that is Rams radio. And so Rams are a live dog. Man, they're playing well. Well, they dismantle Minnesota. You just heard from Steph. We're brought to you by Tito's Handmade Vodka, one of the great American success stories out there. If you're looking to try a new vodka, gluten-free, just better taste, a better vodka, it's Tito's Handmade Vodka, proud partner of our show here. So the Raiders are looking for a new head coach. Today, they're set to conduct interviews with two candidates, Vance Joseph, who's currently the Denver Broncos defensive coordinator, and Robert Saleh, former New York Jets head coach. Joseph was briefly a head coach for the Broncos in 2017 and 18. He spent the majority of his NFL career as a defensive coordinator, a brief stint with the Dolphins, and a slightly longer trek with the Arizona Cardinals before returning to the Broncos in 2023. A highly respected coach around the league. Saleh was fired during the NFL season as the Jets coach. And a lot of people think that there's a lot of interest in him going back to being the defensive coordinator of the 49ers, with minority owner Tom Brady as the driving force behind the Raiders coaching search. The Silver and Black have opted for a slow approach in this hiring cycle. They want to get it right, so we'll see how they're going to get it right. There's a lot of big decisions that are going to be made, and they're not rushing, but it seems like they have a couple of people that they're really interested in, as you know, and they're trying to establish, because they had a good culture with Antonio Pierce in regards to the players believing in the coach. You know, no matter what you thought about Antonio Pierce, he's a good man. He gave everything he had for the Silver and Black. The players were ready to play. Whoever's going to coach the team, believe me, the players will be ready to play. That's a fact. But do you want more of an X's and O's guys, an offensive guy? What are you thinking of? And we'll get into that. 702-365-9200 as we're waiting on Russell Baxter to join us here in a little bit. Also, there is some Aaron Rodgers news today. You know, 2 years ago, if Aaron Rodgers would have came to the Raiders instead of Jimmy Garoppolo, everything would have changed. Everything. Now, you can't predict injuries and what's going to happen, but he was demanding an enormous amount of money. And Aaron Rodgers at the time really seemed to be, this is before we saw the documentary Enigma. This is before kind of he went really public on the ayahuasca and everything that he was doing in his life and the fights he's having with his family, whatever it was. Now you're looking at him, he's 41 years old. He was pressed exactly by Pat McAfee earlier today. He said he broke down his meeting with the Jets brass and what it's been like. Quote, I think everybody understands that it's going to come down to a GM and a coach and myself and whether we all want to dance together or if it's not in the cards. Now, I never thought that Rex Ryan was going to get this job, but the next head coach is going to have to decide in the interview process if he wants Aaron Rodgers or not. I would think that a lot of coaches would not want him there because how would you like to be a first-time coach or a coach of the Jets? And all the news is always about Aaron Rodgers all the time. So Rodgers did note that he met with Jets owner Woody Johnson in the past few weeks to discuss his future. He's also provided some general feedback to the organization about what he's doing since he's been in New York and what the offseason is going through. So with all this happening here, Aaron Rodgers, if you look at the odds of where he's going to be, the two leading candidates are Pittsburgh, and the Raiders. And Pittsburgh is a really good organization. And Pittsburgh's in a situation where Pittsburgh might need a quarterback, but I think they have a pretty good one. In Russell Wilson. Did you see the video of Russell Wilson working out already back at the facility? They were just eliminated, and he was just seen working out at the Steelers headquarters. A real workout. Medicine balls, stretching, the whole thing. Guys are still emptying out their locker, and Russell Wilson is working out. Now, is he doing that as a ploy? Yeah, because the cameras are on. He took pictures of himself to get that out there. That's all a part of marketing. He's worth hundreds of millions of dollars in his contract years. So he's a guy that wants that job. Russell Wilson will also be available. When you look at the price of Russell Wilson went for $1 million because he's getting all that Denver money, right? All that enormous Denver money. He's not going to play for $1 million anymore, but he's not going to play, I think, for more than $25 or $30 million. And I think that's a number you can go after. Russell Wilson is not going to play in this league for $50 million. And then the Sam Darnold debate is raging on throughout the NFL. Did Sam Darnold lower his price by his bad performance? Did he lower the price with his bad performance, or did he do a good enough job to go out there and get a job with the Raiders or a team that needs a quarterback in free agency? So with all that happening here, we got a couple of big topics for the Raiders in this offseason. The topics will be essentially who should be the quarterback, you're allowed to have that conversation with me and respect Aiden O'Connell. See, I was the show that said when the coach is hired or the coach is still hired, we're not going to talk about the coach. Okay? The people who gave me credit for that are the people I care about the most. We weren't going to have a debate during the 9-game losing streak that was about to be 10 who should be the next coach. But now we can. We waited, and we waited patiently on that. And then the other issue becomes, what is going to happen going forward with the quarterback? I'm hoping that they draft a quarterback high. Jaden Daniels, and there's some misinformation out there, some bad information out there that, the Raiders didn't call in regards to Jaden Daniels. A bunch of idiots who are driving that topic. The Raiders were well aware with multiple sources that he was not available in the trade. The Raiders and Antonio Pierce arguably knew Jaden Daniels better than anyone in the Commanders organization. Antonio Pierce is friends with Jaden Daniels. So they knew that Jaden Daniels was not available to go up and trade. And he wouldn't have been available for 3 first-round picks. And I don't know anybody on God's green earth that would trade 4 or 5 first-round picks for a player as we look at that. So that's a big issue going forward now. If the Raiders are picking at 6 and they want to get Cam Ward or Shador, they easily have a path to do it. They would have to give up their 6th pick in the first round, easy. That's a swap. And then the other team's going to ask for 2 more first-round picks. 2. Probably not 1. Because you're not going to know what the Raiders' record is going to be next year. You would assume it'd be improved. I'm hoping it's improved. It's not 4 wins. So when you're the team that's going to ask if the Raiders are knocking, we want to trade up for Shador, which I'm all for, or Cam Ward. Those are the 2 guys. If you want to wait and pull back for Jackson Dart, whatever. That's above my pay grade. But anybody with knowledge of quarterbacks in the drafts know that Cam and Shador are probably going to go 1-2 or 1-3. For the Raiders to want to go there and go get a player like that, they're obviously going to give up their pick, which is a high pick, to move up. And the Giants last year had the 6th pick overall. They needed a quarterback. They couldn't get Jaden Daniels, and they loved Jaden Daniels. And the Giants were picking 6, and the Raiders were picking 13. The Giants ended up getting Malik Neighbors, and the Raiders got Brock Bowers. 2 very good players, but they aren't quarterbacks. Russell Baxter joins us, longtime NFL researcher. He's got one of the best sites out there, information, my go-to Hall of Fame guy with Howard Balzer also. Russell, it's been a while. I hope you're doing well. I saw your countdown to the Super Bowl, and it had me thinking of you when you put up that Freddie Bolitnikoff 25 days away the other day.
Yeah, the countdowns get a lot of attention, which I'm very grateful for, and so on. It just shows you the fans and other professionals and so on. One of the things I get a big kick out of, JT, is when you do a tweet on the countdown regarding a player, and right now I'm doing 2 countdowns: countdown to the Super Bowl. And now the countdown to the draft. We're 98 days away from the draft. Yesterday we were 99. And lo and behold, I got a thank you from Warren Sapp.
How about that? Warren Sapp saw the 99 and gave you a thank you. That's great. Bax football guru. Russell, I said before you came on, this is one of the most unique coaching carousels I've ever seen because of the addition of Mike McCarthy that was just thrown into it. Ben Johnson, I'm out here in Vegas, Tom Brady, Mark Davis. Ben Johnson seems to be the choice or the candidate they're going after the most. Pete Carroll's involved. And then when you mention Deion possibly, that's like throwing firecrackers on the street. Everybody wants to talk about Prime. So give me your big picture on these jobs that are available and all these well-known candidates.
Well, the first thing I want to say is this, because, one of the discussions that people have been throwing at me is, the one and dones. Like Gerard Mayo in New England. Now, I think we're starting to learn that might have been a one and done because of Mike Vrabel's availability. And, of course, Mike Vrabel's the only one that's been hired so far in terms of the openings. Yeah, it's kind of a star-studded group out there. And, of course, the Cowboys are kind of in the middle of it now because of the big names. Mike McCarthy obviously let go, and now Deion's presence in here. Here's something to throw out here, though, and this might surprise some people. Then again, it may not. There's only been one coach since Jerry Jones took over the Cowboys in 1989 that's lasted more than 5 seasons, and that's Jason Garrett. Mike McCarthy was in his 5th season. He's gone. From Barry Switzer to Jimmy Johnson to Bill Parcells to Chan Gailey, the list goes on and on. So I think that's something that any candidate who's talking to the Cowboys has to keep in mind, because as we know, Jerry Jones is a very, very, very hands-on owner. The Raiders are intriguing because it seems like we do this all the time. How many head coaches have they gone through in the last couple of years? The Gruden resignation.
Rich Bisaccia, Josh Daniels, Antonio Pierce.
And Antonio Pierce. Here's the thing that's very intriguing to me, and caution as well. And you probably have your own thoughts on this as well. When John Gruden resigned and Rich Bisaccia took over, there were players obviously very disappointed that Mark Davis did not retain Rich Bisaccia. He went in the Josh McDaniels direction. That really didn't work out. Antonio Pierce came in. They went 5-4 down the stretch. They knocked off Kansas City on Christmas. A lot of promise. The bottom fell out this year. 10-game losing streak. And once again, Mark Davis pulled the plug on a coach that the players did want. Now, this time he gave the players what they wanted. I know Maxx Crosby was very diligent in terms of wanting Antonio Pierce back. So which direction do they go now? Because, the Raiders have won a playoff game since 2002. They've won a division title since 2002. It's been, more than 40 years since the Super Bowl. I can't tell which direction they're going to go on because, Mark Davis ignored the popular guy and went in a different direction. And now he turned around and he fired the popular guy. So it's very, very bizarre. As far as, the overall picture, obviously we're still very, very early into this because the two of the biggest names in terms of qualifications right now, and that's Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, the two of those guys have a football game on Saturday night.
Do you believe, Russell Baxter's our guest, that if Tom Brady reached out to Ben Johnson and, that's the reason why this is getting going, Ben Johnson would look at that as something different and more unique than anything he's seen? They let go of Tom Telesco to clear off so there wouldn't be a GM with the vacancy at the head coaching position. Does that make the Raider job better in your opinion because there's not a GM and Ben Johnson can bring in or at least have input or have an idea of who's going to come in as the GM with him?
Well, I think yes and no. Obviously the big question mark for the Raiders, among a lot of other things, is quarterback. Ben Johnson's qualifications as an offensive coordinator have proven out these last couple of years. They led the league in scoring this year, by the way. Right off the top of my head, 564 points is the 4th highest total in NFL history for a season. That doesn't mean you're going to win the Super Bowl, though. Keep that in mind because you and I have gone down that path before, how these highest scoring teams in NFL history don't win the Super Bowl. So we shall see. But the Lions might be the exception because of just their overall strength as a team. But I don't know if that makes it yes or no. They have a person there in Tom Brady for all qualifications as a quarterback, is also in the front office of the team for the first time as well.
Russell Baxter. Russell, last one. Did you change your prediction for the Super Bowl? I had Detroit, Cincinnati back in August. I'm still going to stay with Detroit. I think it would be one of the greatest Super Bowls ever if it was Buffalo, Detroit, with two fan bases that never won. Are you leaning towards a team that you're seeing now peaking at the right time? Maybe the Rams, Commanders, another team that's out there.
I'm kind of with you, although I waver back and forth with Baltimore. I mean, it's hard to ignore Kansas City, obviously, and so on. But Detroit, what's funny? Late in the season, that game at San Francisco, and I know the Niners weren't the Niners this year, but the fact that they played and rallied to win that game, and then went in and did a number on Minnesota, showed me a lot. Now, I have to point out something historic, which might blow your mind, okay?
Uh-huh.
The Lions and Chiefs are the 8th and the 9th teams in NFL history to win 15 regular season games. The last 5 teams to win at least 15 regular season games, including the 2007 Patriots, who went 16-0, none of them won the Super Bowl.
That is a Russell Baxter fun fact. No doubt about it. Follow him online. Follow him everywhere. Bax, B-A-X, football guru. Good catching up with you, my friend. It's been too long. I hope to see you down in New Orleans.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll see you in Canton.
I'll see you in Canton. Hey, if Eric Allen gets in, you're going to see me on steroids in Canton. That's my guy.
Well,
So we're hoping he gets in.
Well, it's funny. If Eric Allen and Sterling Sharp get in, 2 guys who I work with at ESPN,
Yes.
It'll just make it even sweeter.
You got it. There he is. Russell Baxter. Appreciate him coming in. The legendary researcher and analyst for ESPN. Been a long time friend. He's an historian. That's interesting. We got to get into this Eric Allen. And when we come back, I'm going to tell you, we got Lee Sterling coming up next. So we're going to pick games with him for free. Maxx Crosby's Commitment to Excellence Award dinner gala is on. There are limited tickets left. You got to get to this. I've emceed this event for close to 20 years. It's been dormant for 4. And he's won them those 4 years. It's a big night. We'll tell you about the details coming up next on the flagship. Brought to you by Modelo. Modelo, the #1 beer in America.
It's the morning.
All righty. Who's new? Who do we have who's new? I just know a lot of familiar faces. Anybody else want to get in the chat and I can welcome them, give them a shout out like we're on the Peloton, which I'll be on later today, and give you a shout out because you're in the chat if you're relatively new here. Feel like I want to grow the Brett Favre gray beard that I grow, but I got a couple of events I got to shave for, man. Love to grow it out.
Give me a Josh Allen touchdown pass coming back. I got one call.
We have the largest selection of natural mine diamonds and lab-born diamonds in Las Vegas. We will not be beat on price and quality, period. Come to Sky Diamonds and let us prove it to you.
This is JT for Grimaldi's Pizzeria, that famous New York style coal-fired brick oven pizza that you crave. 4 locations in the Valley, Boca Park in Summerlin, on the Strip at the Palazzo, Southwest Las Vegas.
Yeah, man, everyone, we're good. I'm a Buckeye fan. Jake Long. First time here, Richard. Richard, thank you for that, man. Appreciate that. New Orleans, famous store. I will be there for that. Alan, welcome in. Appreciate it. Lee Sterling. Dee, do you remember how he did last week or 2 weeks ago? I forgot. I didn't know.
Hey, Lee, it's Bobby. How you doing?
Running a business gets more complicated every year.
Kataya. Literally. Well, thank you for asking. That's what I keep hearing. Okay, I'll get you up. I got about a minute, man. Hang on.
Self-insured businesses for over 20 years. Whether your business is retail,
Fan club.
building, agriculture, or auto, our team has
Does he follow you on Facebook?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was asking you about earlier, because I'm trying to plot this whole thing out. You know what I'm saying?
Did you see all the cookie jar stuff? Yeah.
I went looking for sound for him. I could find 2 cuts and it was just unhearable.
Yeah.
It's a shame. Cookie was a freaking legend, man.
Yeah, he was. I think it was when I first saw him, it was a Continental.
Harris at Carroll Court.
Yeah, that was after. He started off before that at Continental.
Yeah, Continental. That's right. Friday night. So
Right. Yeah.
that was like 96.
Right.
Times I saw him as a Harris, though, man. He had that. That was
No.
It's like when people call him a lounge lizard. He's an entertainer.
Yeah, he wasn't a lounge lizard,
Yeah,
man,
I
but
didn't
he
like
was
that at all.
he was not a lounge lizard. He was a lounge icon.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
he was. He was David Lee Roth, man. He held a crowd in his
He
hand.
did. He
was
did.
Something else. All right, here we go.
Red Gaming is the official and exclusive local casino partner of the Las Vegas.
It's gonna be a Josh Allen touchdown.
Bring your friends, have some fun, but always bet on black. Visit their 10 casinos across the valley. Don't let the game get out of hand. Please bet responsibly.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show. Brought to you by M Resort Spa and Casino, the official hotel of the Las Vegas Raiders.
Allen fades back, steps into it, lobs it out, open, caught in the chest by Curtis Samuel, 30, bang it inside of the 20, 15, 10, slips out of a tackle, touchdown, Buffalo! 55 yards, lob, catch, TD, it's 27-7.
Bills radio. I got more Bills fans who are friends of mine than Lion fans. I got a couple of Lion buddies. Bills Lions in the Super Bowl would be heaven on earth for football fans. JT, back with you. M Resort, Spawn Casino, official hotel of the Silver and Black. Lee Sterling joins us. Thrilled that we can have him all year, and he's fantastic. He'll be down at the Super Bowl as he always is. Lee, good to talk to you. I hope you're doing well. You've been busy with all these college bowl games, and once again, having a great year.
Yeah, and college basketball is going on, and the UFC picked back up, so it's a fun time of year.
I was thinking of you and everybody. They had the Tiger Woods golf, the video simulator golf, and I'm watching it, and I'm entertained by it. I think it's good. They're doing it in Palm Beach Gardens, and they build this unbelievable arena for the simulated golf, and Tiger's playing in it, and in the final 10 minutes, Duke is coming up next, the Duke game. And they went to the Duke game late to let Tiger Woods play fake golf, hitting it into a screen. I thought that's pretty powerful that Tiger could hold up a Duke game.
I just wish I could move my game from the simulator to outside. That's been my problem.
That's the game there. All right, let's go with Philadelphia. We'll play. It's 5.5, -6 with the Rams. The Rams look great, not good.
Yep.
That scripted plays, the first drives, what they were able to do. Now, they got a big break when it looked like Stafford fumbled, but he threw the ball forward. That was shady.
Yep.
But once that happened, Minnesota could not bounce back, and the Rams stepped on their throat. But now they got a short week because they played on Monday, back to L.A., I believe, and then off to Philadelphia to play in a cold, something they're not very used to.
Yeah, the short week in the cold does obviously factor into this game, but here's a couple reasons that might lead you to go with the Rams like I am. This Philadelphia passing game is not clicking on all cylinders. And when you got to lay close to a touchdown, you got to have everything working. I know that they won the first game of the year. Saquon Barkley had 255 yards rushing, but I do think the Rams will make some changes. I think their offensive running game is good. And when the Eagles faced a team last week in the Packers quarterback, Jordan Love, was nowhere close to 100%. And he was without 3 of his top 4 receivers starting early in that game. I think it's going to be a tight game here. Both teams running the ball more. I think Philadelphia wins 23-20, but I'm going to favor the Rams here, +6.
All right, Rams +6. They lose, but they cover the spread. Next game, I'm thrilled you're giving it to us. Baltimore will play at -1 at Buffalo. This, to me, are 2 heavyweight legends, Ali, Frazier, in their prime. So we're getting a fight, a game that we rarely see. I mean, you can go back to Brady versus Manning in their primes. Or if you look at, Marino was a rookie when he went to the Super Bowl and lost. It's tough to find these guys when they're in their absolute prime and going to be 1-1A for the MVP. The weather's going to be cold, but Baltimore's used to it. Zay Flowers' injury, I think, is a big deal, but I know the Bills don't have the receivers they had 3 or 4 years ago. How do you see this one?
Yeah, so the Ravens won the first game, 35-10 in week 4. And Josh Allen, after that loss, had a couple interesting statements, and I wrote these down. He said, not everything was bad in this game. He says, lots to learn from. I'm glad this happened early in the season so we can correct things. Now, in that first game, I went back and watched the film. The Bills' defensive line was not bad. It was their linebackers that could not fill the gap, and they were also guessing. Both linebackers in that game were backups here. So I think that will have a difference in the game. And Baltimore's had everything go right for them so far in the first playoff game. They got to play the Steelers. They were up 21-0 here at home. That Steelers offense is awful. The last 6 games, they punted on all 4 first half possessions. And let's say the Bills win the coin toss and go down the field and go up 7-0. Then all of a sudden, Baltimore is chasing on the road here versus a very good offense here. Remember, everyone loved Tampa Bay because they won the first game that they played Washington of the year this year, and they lost last week. I think Buffalo rebounds. This should be a fun game. I like the Bills, 35-30.
35-30. Wow, over the total in that game. And then let's get to the national championship, the Ohio State against Notre Dame. I'll go quick. Notre Dame's coaching and special teams has kept them in this so they could get this way. I'm not impressed with their quarterback play. I'm not impressed with any of this quarterback play that I've seen in the college football playoffs. It's check down. It's very vanilla. Some good running backs overall. I think Notre Dame can keep it close, but I think Ohio State has several more NFL players who will be on the field.
Not just several more players. We're talking about some couple receivers that Smith would go the first pick of the draft if he came out now as a true freshman. And a couple of the other receivers are going to go very high also. Maybe 2 running backs will go in the top couple rounds. Now, Notre Dame will roll out a different defense, a 3-4 defense, which Ohio State doesn't see all the time. But remember, this defense here has not faced anything like this type of Ohio State offense. So I think they're going to have to blitz more than they normally do. I know they had a good game last week against Penn State, but Penn State just does not present any explosiveness in the passing attack, and I don't think they're going to be able to double and triple bracket here Jeremiah Smith. So unless Riley Leonard has one of these games for the ages where he runs and throws and goes crazy, I think they're at a big disadvantage. I like Ohio State, 30-13.
30-13. Wow, Ohio State in the blowout. ParamountSports.com. You need to go to ParamountSports.com or call Lee. He'll get you all set up here at the end of our conversation. Your game of the week, and you were the first guy. Remember, you came on when Detroit lost all those players to injuries, and you never wavered on them. And you always were right on the right side or close to it with Detroit here, but you got the Jaden Daniels factor, and I know you've been studying that. How do we get the game of the week?
Yeah, I love both teams. I love Detroit. They're clearly the best offense in the NFL, and Washington now has one of the top 5-6 quarterbacks in the NFL already. So you want to get that game for free, call 800-400-9741. First 5 callers get it for free. You want to hop on board. How about this? 5 selections the entire weekend from Saturday through Monday night. We've got a couple teasers. You got to attack the books that give you the best chance to win. We have a couple teasers, 2-team 6 and 7 point teasers included in these 5 selections. 5 selections, $77. One place, ParamountSports.com.
Thank you, Lee. Talk to you next week. Be lucky, be good. Thank you.
You too, buddy.
All right, Lee Sterling joining us. Hey, I wanted to make the announcement that the Commitment to Excellence Award dinner is back. It's a night honoring Maxx Crosby, February 22nd. That's coming up quick. Put it in your phones. February 22nd, 5 p.m., the Terrence Banquet Hall and Gardens on Warm Springs Drive in Henderson. I tweeted it out. Tickets are only $175. Okay, that is cheap. See some of these Raider events and other things? $175 per person, dressed to impress. The number's up on my X at JT the Brick. You get a night of Maxx Crosby, Raider alumni. I'm emceeing the joint. It's been unbelievable over the years, and it's the award, the Commitment to Excellence. We haven't had this banquet since Oakland because of COVID, the year of COVID. They were going to bring it back. The booster clubs brought it back, and I'm thrilled to be involved with this. Remember, I emceed Max's foundation event over at UFC, and when Max is getting an award, he understands it. This is a big one. the Commitment to Excellence Awards. Jim Otto has won this award going back. I think he's the original winner of the Commitment to Excellence Award. This is an important night for Maxx and his legacy, so I want everybody to take a look at it. These tickets will not last, and if you're a real Raider fan in Vegas and you want to come in, this is the event you got to come to. The Commitment to Excellence Dinner Gala, February 22nd, okay? For more details, go to my X or Facebook at JT the Brick. All the information is there. Vince Sapienza from Fox 5 in our morning show coming up next. All right, I'll keep it here for a few more. Keep it here. Yeah, this is the Maxx. You want to screenshot that? Leave that up there if anybody wants to write it down with the phone number. You guys should come in for that.
Grimaldi's New York style coal fired brick oven pizza that you crave. 4 locations here in the Valley, Summerlin in Boca Park, on the Strip at the Palazzo, Southwest Las Vegas on South Rainbow Boulevard and Green Valley on Southeastern Avenue.
This is Raider Nation Radio, 920 AM, the home of Raider Nation.
There's a new way to get to the game, M-Riding. M-Ride is the luxury concierge shuttle service. It's the same bus the players use, so you can ride like a pro. M-Ride will take you round trip from Circle of the Palms to Allegiant Stadium.
I'm going to get some water because my wife reminds me to hydrate, and I never do. So let's get some water. We'll be right back. Chat amongst yourselves. I'll be right there.
Use promo code BRICK. That's MRideLV.com, promo code BRICK.
Hi, it's Steve Mann. Have you heard the commercials for the Mark Patrick Stop Smoking seminars? And it's at only $49.99, and it could work for you. So I thought, that's not even a week's worth of smoking. So I went, and guess what? It did work for me. You know, my friends and family are still amazed. I quit smoking. I didn't have cravings, anxiety, or weight gain. Listen, I don't know how it works, but I know it works because I'm living proof, and it's 100% guaranteed. So what do you got to lose? I'll tell you what you got to lose. A very bad habit.
Join Mark Patrick seminars and stop smoking now without cravings, irritability, weight gain, or your money back. Early bird special, only $49.99 guaranteed. Hypnosis designed to work without anxiety, irritability, or weight gain. Early bird special, only $49.99. Become a non-smoker. That's right. Seminars Thursday, February 6th at the Santa Fe Station Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. Stop smoking seminars at 8 p.m. Weight loss seminar at 5:30. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com.
Gambler's bonus hits again. On December 14th, Eric hit 4 8s, clearing his Gambler's bonus 4-of-a-kind bingo card for over $7,500. Eric hit big and so can you. With Gambler's bonus, it's why you play the game. Will you be the next Vegas Golden Knights game day giveaway winner? One lucky customer will win a $1,500 shopping spree, home game tickets, and a hotel stay at Circle Resort and Casino every week.
All right, we are back. We are back. What are we watching? I watched last night season 2, episode 1 of Lioness on Paramount Plus. I watched a documentary on this Swedish DJ who died and how big he was in Vegas. I cannot believe I'm forgetting his name. Someone put it in the chat. The Swedish DJ, Excelsior? What was his name? I'm trying to think. I watched the whole documentary last night. It was real good. It had a lot of Vegas in it. Wow. Yep. What else have I watched?
I think I got your buddy back on the line too.
Is he there?
Might be. I'm not sure.
Let me see. Let's see.
His name is Darren from Regina, Saskatchewan.
Hey, bud, where you from? Good. Where you from?
Donate today at carsforkids.org.
What station you listening to?
Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax.
Are you watching on YouTube? It says you're from Illinois here on our call screen. You're not from Illinois?
Homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
When you need legal advice,
Canada?
you need others. You need the Castaverde Law.
What's your first name?
This is JT. They're my attorneys,
What?
and they should be yours too. For personal injuries and accidents, reach
What high
out
school
to
did you
the
go to?
Castaverde Law Firm. Let their family fight for yours.
Okay.
Your afternoon Raiders fix with your boy Q on
Hold on.
unnecessary roughness from 2 to 5.
I love screening phone calls. That's one of my favorite things to do is screening phone calls, busting balls.
I'm sorry, I'm developing.
Avicii, you're right. Avicii was wasn't fantastic. It was just good.
It's the JT the Brick Show, broadcasting live from the Philly Cadillac Performance Studio.
Raiders bring a blitz. He takes him up the middle, and he's wrapped up from behind. Maxx Crosby.
Your silver and black home to sound off for over 20 years.
Over to the 35, racing to the 20, 10, touchdown Raiders.
And now, here's JT the Brick.
Hour number 2. Where does the hours fly by? JT with you, brought to you by Grimaldi's Pizza, the best pizza I've ever had. 4 locations here in the Valley. I go to Boca Park. The salads are unbelievable. You get a salad with your pizza over there at Grimaldi's, man. I never dreamed that I'd have a radio career almost going on 30 years and I'd have a pizza sponsor. I'm serious. I'm proud of that, man. I love knowing that I sell pizza in Vegas. And Grimaldi's Pizzeria is the best pizza I ever had. Proud partner of our show. Go to Boca. Tell them I sent you there. Sit at the bar, have a Modelo, get yourself. They got a great wine list, and the salads will blow you away. So we got Vince Sapienza coming up here in a little bit. No news on the Raiders coaches. Kind of hard to do a radio show if it's just Raiders radio. No, we're not Raiders radio in the offseason. We're Raiders radio with a heavy dose of NFL. And I asked earlier in the show, and no one called me on it. Who's the next coach to be hired? Vrabel's off the list. Who's the next guy to go? 702-365-9200. I'm not sure. I think that Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson will be coaching for a little bit. I like Detroit going to the Super Bowl. Cliff Kingsbury. Remember, if they get beat, if the Commanders get beat, if Dallas wants to hire Cliff Kingsbury as the head coach, or Chicago does, to coach Caleb Williams, I would do that. I would. I'd give Cliff Kingsbury a shot, again, because he's just too valuable as a play caller. And you can get him away from Jaden Daniels and hire him as a head coach. Keep an eye on that one. Raider O in San Diego, one of my favorite places. Go ahead.
Hey, JT, I want to talk coaches, but first let me rage for a minute. We need to do everything we can as Raider Nation to help get Eric into the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
He was such a dynamic player that really could change games. So much fun to watch. I think we're at an age where some younger fans don't remember him, and all those that do and don't see the hypocrisy of him not being in, for all his great plays, including being a key member of, what happened in the Tuck Bowl, he should be in, and shame on you. And while you're at it, don't forget Jim Plunkett. I'm already hearing Eli Manning's name. I don't want to hear.
Jim's not making it. Jim's not making it on the cycle. He's not up. He didn't make it to that point. So in the future, you can't have a Hall of Fame without Jim Plunkett.
Absolutely. Listen, on our coaches, to think that we could have a proven, for real offensive coordinator as the coach, running the offensive show to some extent, and using players of the ilk of Brock, that's amazing. And if Tom Brady says that's the guy and that's going to work, I believe in it. I'm still going to cast my vote publicly for Pete Carroll.
Mm-hmm.
I think the smarter you are at the top and the more you've done it, we've talked about all of the great points, including him beating who we have to beat, the coaches we have to beat, and leading a team based on great defense. I feel like that's a great choice for the program. And no matter who comes out, if it's not one of those two, we'll get our support, but that's where I would go.
Right.
I don't think we're going to be the next hire because maybe we're waiting on Ben Johnson. I think Dallas goes first. Thanks, JT.
That's a very good phone call, as Vince Sapienza would say on the morning show. I listen to Vince when I'm getting up, and he'll tell you if you have a good phone call or not. Vince Sapienza from our morning show and Fox 5. How does it feel now to take a call, wrap up the call, thank the caller on that? It's a big part of your job in the morning here.
Yeah, it's nice, especially when the callers compliment you. Isn't that just the best, JT? You're just the best thing. It's a great way to start the morning.
It's interesting now because you're getting full-blown Raider Nation. It's your first year on the flagship station. The team didn't do well. They fired a coach and a GM. I mean, you got it all. You got the full bundle of what it could be like and the 10-game losing streak and all that. But we talked about it as friends. There's going to be a great opportunity for off-season content. How are you handling it in the mornings with Clay and Vinny on Ben Johnson, possibly the lead candidate? Is that the guy you're thinking is ahead in this race to become the head coach?
Yeah, to your point, I feel like I've built up a whole lot of calluses in a short amount of time, being thrown in deep end with Raider Nation. But as it pertains to what's going on right now, I mean, everything is pointing up and to the right with Ben Johnson. I was on the record a week ago that if I had my druthers of the up-and-coming hotshot coordinator or the established veteran, as some call it, retread head coach, I would have almost leaned toward the guy who had done it before, just for the simple fact of sitting there saying, hey, I want as little as question marks as possible moving forward, because there's been so many question marks with every head coach in the last decade plus with this organization. That being said, the caveat I gave was, if Tom Brady sits there and says that this is the guy, then who am I to disagree with the GOAT and the front office and the brass of the Raiders? And it sounds like right now that TB12 has narrowed in on his guy, Ben Johnson. And, the big point that I was making today, and the reason why I would feel good about it if I'm a member of Raider Nation right now, is because everybody sees what he does offensively. Everybody knows he can put a play together. Everybody knows he's an innovator and can get offensive lineman touchdowns and this and that and all that stuff, and has gotten the best play out of Jared Goff of his entire career. Everybody sees that. The biggest question mark was, what kind of a leader is he? How is he going to treat OTAs? What's going to happen when a veteran doesn't show up to a voluntary practice? How is he going to command a room? And the fact that after, a week plus, we're in day 9 plus now of this head coaching search for the Raiders, the fact that all the reports, the tea leaves, everything that we're hearing is that Ben Johnson is the guy who is wowed so far. Ben Johnson's the guy that showed up prepared in a search led by Tom Brady. I don't know how anybody can sit there and not get on board with it as well. And for Raider Nation, this coaching hire, this coaching cycle, this one just feels different. It feels like there's a lot of hope. There's a full reset. Whether you agreed with it or not, it's a full reset. And now, if it is Ben Johnson, you have to give him the proper leeway to build this thing, shape it in the vision that he has pitched in the last week or so.
Yeah, it's a great way to sum it up here. Vince Sapienza is our guest, but you got to hope you have the trust factor in him that he's the guy, that he's going to come through and take the job, because you got to wait potentially till after the Super Bowl, where some of these other candidates could potentially be gone. Ben Johnson seems to be the right fit at the right time for his youth, his energy, to help the new quarterback, whoever it's going to be. I'm all in on that. But then again, I like Pete Carroll, because I think Pete Carroll could be the right guy at the right time, considering the season the Raiders just had, to kind of get him back on track. And a guy who's beaten Andy Reid, Sean Payton, and Jim Harbaugh, all of those guys, multiple times. Then you don't have that argument in the AFC West that we don't have a coach, or Raider Nation doesn't have a coach to go up against a guy. Yeah, you do. This guy beat all those guys.
It's instant credibility. I mean, it's an instant foundation, and that's one of the things why earlier last week I was leaning more toward a Pete Carroll type hire, because of that fact. You don't have to question what it's going to be like during OTAs, mandatory minicamp, training camp. The expectation is there. This is a national champion, a Super Bowl champion, a guy who's won just about every accolade you can as a head coach, seen it all, been through it all, divas, resets, a guy who loves changing the culture to what he believes is a winner, and he's proven it to be true. He has time on task, and he has a proven track record of his plan, his vision working. And the one thing you can say, as someone who was up in Washington State during the heyday of the Seattle Seahawks and Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll, Legion of Boom, all that stuff, there was never a day where the team quit. There were seasons toward the end of the year, toward the end of his tenure up in Seattle, that the years weren't the Super Bowl years, but the competitiveness was constantly there. And I believe his last season, he was a 9-win season. He was still winning football. He still had a winning record. And right now, where the Raiders are at, I'm not saying settle for a 9-10 or 9-7, 9-8, whatever record it is. But what I'm saying is, his voice. It took a long time for his voice to go, quote unquote, tone deaf with the rest of the team. I think he would provide a new juice, a new voice, an exciting voice. And, a lot of people are worried about the age of a Pete Carroll. I have no issues with the age of a Pete Carroll, because this is a guy that has a proven track record of bringing in coordinators that move on to different levels. Darrell Bevel's one of the most winningest offensive coordinators in Seattle Seahawks history. Now, again, get into how he was as a head coach, that's a different story. But in terms of coordinators he was able to bring in and young guys he was able to help groom and evolve, he did a great job of that in Seattle. So proven track record there. So for me, it's a 1A, 1B situation with Ben Johnson in the front.
All right, so the Vegas Golden Knights no longer on top of the entire West as Winnipeg's got 63 points. They have 61. They got shut out by the Islanders. I went to the Ranger game. I was there when they lost. And I don't know if you say tired legs. They weren't putting shots on goal as much. Just, other teams come into the Fortress once a year, and it's their Stanley Cup. They want to play in front of that raucous crowd here. Give us your overall analysis on the health of the team and how they're playing.
Well, what's funny is the other day in Nashville, the Golden Knights, for just the fourth time all season, had their full complement of healthy players allowed to them on the roster. Just the fourth time all season. We're past the midway point of the year. That's insane considering they were at the top of the standings. That being said, fun fact, there was a plan. I was supposed to be in Nashville for that game. It was the March So reunited with the Golden Knights game. I am so glad that things came up and I was not able to be at that game, because I would venture to say that was the worst 60-minute performance under a Bruce Cassidy-led Golden Knights team in the 2.5+ years that we've seen.
Really?
And I don't even think it's close. Through the first 30 minutes, the Golden Knights put 2 shots on goal. One of those shots was a dump in from center ice. So for the 30 minutes, the first 30 minutes of an emotionally charged game, first game of a 3-game road trip, they had one meaningful shot on goal. And the only reason it was even close is Pavel Dorofeyev has the hot stick right now, has 5 goals in his last 2 games. He's the only one that kept it even close. Yeah. So it was an absolute battering. Bruce Cassidy, for the first time in again, I can't remember, was beside himself. He did not have an answer as to why they performed the way they did. Now, the reason why, okay, it's one game, it's one-off. If there needs to be a little bit of caution right now if you're a medieval maniac, because you go back to last week and you got shut out by the New York Islanders, and then you basically got railroaded by the New York Rangers in a game that was a 2-1 game, but I mean, you weren't really all that competitive in. So that's now 3 of the last 4 games you have had a very, very bad showing. The Golden Knights are back at it tomorrow night in Carolina, and they need to get right. They need to get right quick. They played a lot of hockey in a short amount of time. That's what this 4 Nations tournament has caused for everybody, a condensed schedule. But so the Golden Knights are starting to really feel those effects. This break coming up in mid-February is going to do them some good. But right now, they're a little bit on fumes.
Great job in the mornings. Great job on Fox 5 as always. Take care, my friend. Have a good week.
Thanks, JT.
Vince Sapienza, great hire, right? Great hire. We brought him in. Everybody, Q made a decision to put him in here because he's a grinder, man. That guy is up doing the news at 11 o'clock at night. Okay, I'm up at 11 o'clock at night. He's doing the news at 10 or 11 at night, and then the guy's here at 6 in the morning doing a show at 7 in the morning. Now, Bobby Q's doing 6 hours a day. I was telling him he got a big job. Q's on ESPN now. He's always been on ESPN, but he's going to be doing, I think, 6 hours a day. My record still stands at 8 hours a day.
Oh, yeah, I know.
That record still stands, but I think Q's breaking it because he's got his podcast. When I was doing 8 hours a day back in the day, which was noon to 3 on the Ticket 1050 and 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. And I didn't do that. I did that for years.
There. Yes, I know.
Years. There was no such thing as podcasts back then.
No.
You had to have a radio show to have a radio show. Now everybody's got a podcast.
Oh, yeah.
I got a couple of them.
Except me.
Well, yeah, you should have a podcast.
No,
You'd have a good podcast. Rock and roll.
I can't afford the royalties for the music. I can't do it.
Yeah, well, sometimes it's not about just the music. I listen to podcasts a lot and just mostly non-sports because I want to get away from sports when I'm out and I'm walking around doing my thing. But the podcast world now is really interesting. As we launch this YouTube, really what a podcast has always been, if you have a radio show. So I'm doing this show live, and now it's a podcast. Now, if I didn't have a radio show, which at some point in my life I will not, I've been lucky. 30 years almost uninterrupted. Everybody is now moving their radio shows to video and these platforms. So when I throw out this, it's for a reason. because people can watch the show or listen to the show. Because for years, I would say, not decades, Bobby, but I would say this is inside baseball stuff. For decades, people would say, well, if you missed the show, go download it on whatever site. And I was like, no one's doing that. I had big radio shows. No one was going to go back and listen to all 3 hours. Maybe my dad, maybe Benny Jet, some people. But, once you do, my philosophy is once my radio show's done, it's air, it's gone.
Yeah.
But not anymore. Now you can capture it and go back. And when you work these crazy hours like Q does or I do at night, it's nice to be able to have people that can't hear you in certain day parts to go to YouTube and go, oh, I missed the show, but I remember the interview he said he had with Vinny. I'm going to go watch or listen to that 20 minutes. That's what I think podcasting should be about. And not just, hey, we did the show, go listen to it. It's living this world on some digital platform. I'm not a big believer in that.
You know what would have been really cool if we had podcasts back like 25 years ago, back when we were doing the original Sports Fan show?
Saved everything. It would have saved all of our content.
Not only that, but then, say, guys like Demira Poway would not have to sit on hold for hours and hours to listen to the show when they couldn't hear it.
Yeah, well,
they could go back and listen to it on the computer.
Yeah, the problem with the podcast world is not a lot of people are making money doing it other than the big people.
No.
Joe Rogan, right? You'll start looking at Bill Simmons. So for those who want to start this thing, I encourage everybody to start. If you want to have a podcast, if you want to get into broadcasting, it used to be the only way you could get on sports radio was the way it happened to me. I had to buy my time to get on the air. I had to buy time to get on Sunday nights.
Way back in the last century.
On KMAX. And then I got a break and I got lucky, hooked up with Pete Rose, did the show, and then started a business. And if you don't want to do that, you want to start off in podcasting, all you got to do is put a mic in front of you and talk. And then if you can generate ad sales and get people to watch and people to share it. But I'm telling you, it's the future. A lot of people are doing it. A lot of people are slow to get it going. But, man, I wish I had every show that I ever did back from 1996. I wish I had my Bill Walsh interviews. I wish I had every one of my Jim Brown interviews. And in the world of podcasting now, you can just record everything and save it.
You should go back and look at that case of tapes and stuff I gave you. I'll
I
bet you
have
there's
it.
a whole lot of
There's
that
a lot
stuff in there.
But it has to be digitized now.
Well, you got 2 kids, nothing to do. Go ahead,
they have
throw
a
'em out
lot.
there.
They have actually a lot to do.
I know.
But the other issue becomes, man, taking these photos, like we got all our wedding photos from 99, everything. And my wife, to digitize it, send it away. It's really important. And again, I don't want to bring everybody down on this, but today I texted with my co-author of my book, The Handoff, Alan Eisenstock, in the Pacific Palisades. His whole house was burned to the ground. 1,000 books, pictures, everything he owned, gone to ash. Right. Now, he didn't even go back. He got on a plane and went to New York with his wife to see his kids. Didn't even go back. It was everything was gone that he ever had his whole life. Every book, every signed book, every manuscript, everything he did his whole life was in his home. It was not going to be saved. He had 5 minutes to leave. Imagine being in a situation where you have 5 minutes to leave. I really believe coming off the tragedies of the LA fire, everybody should do that. Everybody this weekend should put together a 5-minute bag, which is your passports and, valuable documents and things like that, and your wedding album if you're married or whatever you have that you can't live without or you don't want to live without, and have it somewhere where you can grab it and go, because the stories coming out of Los Angeles, the stories coming out of the Pacific Palisades, and the people that I know that lost everything. Patrick O'Neill, who's a broadcaster, the son of Ryan O'Neill. His stepmom was Farrah Fawcett. I've seen their house. I haven't been in it, but it's right on the beach in Malibu. If you're walking on the beach, it's like incredible, right? This is the house that Ryan O'Neill owned, done to ash. All those houses there in Malibu. And imagine, I don't care how much money you have, you don't have money. When someone knocks on your door and says, you got 5 minutes to get out of here, you better have a plan. You gotta have some type of plan, man. And the people there, I'm really thinking of them. It's been a difficult week for my wife and I. The text messages we've been getting, the people that we've been talking to, the people who were nervous that the fires were coming to them and never ended up getting there, but they were nervous as hell. And I'm not getting into the politics of rebuilding in California and the governor and all that. I don't do that. I'm not like the people that pounce on the topic and politicize it. It was a 100-year fire. The Santa Ana winds destroyed areas there, Could it have been fought better? Could there have been more resources? Absolutely. But think about the people that doesn't matter for anymore, and they're trying to rebuild their lives. So donate to the Red Cross or wherever you want to, and please help those people out. They're going to need the help. La Casa Cigars and Lounge. Mike and Sandy, what a place they have. And they got breaking news. Wait till you see what they're doing with the new and improved La Casa. Wow. Great place to have a cigar, watch sports, live entertainment, 7 nights a week. That's hard to do in this town. Beautiful place to kick back, have a cigar, a cocktail. They serve everything that we promote on this show.
It's the
Thank you.
Heartbeat.
Another great day with the bricklayers. Wow. Look at this. Nice crew today. Appreciate everybody. We gave you 120 minutes of content. 120 minutes. I appreciate you all. You know that. Thank you for helping me build this stream.